morning, Your Majesties! Welcome back to my YouTube channel. For those of you that are new here, welcome to my YouTube channel. And happy Saturday. I have a scary story for you guys. A good one. This one's called The Whispering Dollhouse. Now, this one is right on my alley. What do y'all think? Hold on, let me do some lip gloss real quick. I usually do this before I start filming, but, anyway. All right. Oh, okay. Sorry y'all had to see that. Okay. This one's called The Whispering Dollhouse. Let's go. The manor at the edge of town was a place of whispers and shadows, a grand old house whose best days had long since passed. Its walls, once vibrant with color, were now faded and peeling. Oh man. The tapestries hanging limp with dust, the windows streaked with grime, let in only silvers of light, casting the once grand rooms into the perpetual twilight. The villagers spoke of the manor in hushed tones, passing on the stories of its former grandeur, and the tragic fate of the family that had once called it home. But the truth of what lay within the manor, was a secret known only to the walls that had witnessed it all. Eliza was a curious girl of 12. 12? You're 12 years old, little girl. You better. No. I need you to stop. No. Eliza was a curious girl of 12 with bright eyes that missed nothing and a mind that was always seeking out the hidden and the mysterious. When her family moved in to the manor, she saw it not as a place of decay, but as a world of secrets waiting to be uncovered. Her parents, busy with their own lives, paid little attention to the manor's many rooms, leaving Eliza to explore its dusty corridors and forgotten chambers at her leisure. You left Eliza alone? Excuse me. I don't know what that was. You left Eliza alone? What are you doing? Okay, to the story. It was on one of these solitary explorations that Eliza found the attic. The entrance was hidden behind the door, at the end of a narrow winding staircase, nearly invisible beneath layers of dust and cobwebs. The door creaked ominously as she pushed it open, revealing a space that had clearly been untouched for decades. The air was thick with the scent of old wood and forgotten memories, and the only light came from a single grimy window that cast long shadows across the floor. The attic was cluttered with old trunks and forgotten treasures. But what caught Eliza's eye immediately was the dollhouse. It was sat on a small table in the center of the room, covered in thick layer of dust. Its once bright paint faded and chipped. The dollhouse was large, intricately derailed, with tiny rooms furnished with delicate miniature furniture inside. The tiny fingers of dolls stood frozen in place, their lifelike faces eerily expressive as though they had been caught mid-movement. Jesus Christ. Eliza felt a shiver run down her spine as she approached the dollhouse, her curiosity battling with a sense of unease. The dolls were unsettling in their stillness, their glassy eyes staring blankly ahead. But there was something about the dollhouse that drew her in, something that made her reach and brush the dust from its roof. As her fingers touched the wood, she felt a vibration, almost like a heartbeat, pulsing through the dollhouse. Startled, she pulled her hand back, but the sensation lingered, tingling in her fingertips. The attic seemed to grow colder, the shadows leaping as though they were alive. Creeping closer to the dollhouse, despite the chill Eliza felt, an inexplicable urge to open the dollhouse to see what lay within. She lifted the roof with trembling hands, revealing the rooms inside. Each one was maliciously detailed, from the tiny lace curtains to the miniature books on the shelves. The dolls were positioned throughout the house, some sitting at a dining table, others standing in the hallways. As Eliza peered closer, she noticed that each doll's face was frozen in an expression of fear or sorrow, their tiny hands raised, though in defense or supplication. A whisper so faint she could barely hear it brushed against her ear. Help us, free us. What the? What do you mean, help us, free us? Nuh-uh. Okay. Eliza jumped, looking around the attic, but she was alone. The whisper came again, this time clearer, more insistent. Free us, we're trapped. She stared at the dollhouse, her heart pounding. The whisper seemed to be coming from the dolls, their voices pleading. Eliza shook her head, trying to dismiss the thought as her imagination, but the whispers grew louder, filling her mind with their desperate pleas. Oh my gosh. Okay. Over the next few days, Eliza found herself returning to the attic. Girl, again and again, drawn to the dollhouse, despite two uneases stirred in her. She spent hours arranging and rearranging the rooms, moving the dolls from place to place, trying to make sense of the whispers that filled her mind. Each time she touched the dolls, the whispers grew clearer, more desperate. They're lying to you, one whispered. They want to trap you too. Oh no. Really? Another soft voice sorrowed begged, please help us. We're so cold. Okay. The more Eliza listened, the more the dollhouse seemed to change. The rooms, once pristine and orderly, became dark and twisted. The furniture broken and scattered, the walls stained with shadows that seemed to shift and move. The dolls, once frozen in fear, now seemed to follow her with her glassy eyes, their faces twisted in agony as they reached out to her. One night, unable to sleep, Eliza crept back into the attic, the dollhouse calling to her with a pull she could no longer resist. As she opened the dollhouse, she noticed something different. The dolls were moving. At first, it was subtle, a hand twitching, a a head turning slightly, but soon the movement became more became more pronounced, the dolls acting out scenes within the tiny rooms. To her horror, Eliza realized that the scenes reflections of her own life, dark, twisted versions of events that happened or were yet to happen. She watched as a doll dressed in a tiny version of her own nightgown, stood in a miniature window, peering out into the darkness. Another doll resembling her mother lay in a tiny bed, her face contorted in pain as shadowy figures loomed over her. She's crying. Oh my God. The whispers became frantic, overlapping cacophony of voices filled the attic. Break it. Destroy the dollhouse. It's too late. She's here. Oh my God. Eliza backed away from the dollhouse, her heart racing. She knew that the dollhouse was cursed, a prison for the souls of the manor's previous inhabitants, each one forced to relive their darkest moments over and over again. The dolls were not just figures, they were trapped souls of the dead, and the dollhouse was feeding them, growing stronger with each passing day. Desperate to escape, Eliza grabbed a heavy book from one of the attic's dusty shelves and swung it at the dollhouse. The impact sent the tiny furniture flying, but the dollhouse itself remained intact. The whispers turned to screams, the dolls writhing in their tiny rooms, their movements frantic and terrified. Eliza struck the dollhouse again and again, but it was as though an invisible force was protecting it, keeping it whole. The attic seemed to close in around her, the walls darkening, the shadows growing deeper and more oppressive. The whispers reached a fever pitch, a chorus of despair and fury that echoed in her mind. Good grief. Suddenly, the dollhouse emitted a binding light, and Eliza was thrown backward, crashing into the attic wall. She lay dazed, her vision swimming as the light engulfed the room. She tried to crawl away, but her limbs felt heavy, as though they were no longer her own. Through the light, she saw the dolls rising from the dollhouse. Oh no! Their tiny forms growing, larger, more human-like. They stepped out of the dollhouse, their faces twisted into grotesque masks of pain and hatred. The largest of them, a doll with Eliza's own face, reached out to her, its glassy eyes reflecting in terror of her own. No! Eliza screamed, but it was too late. The doll grabbed her, pulling her towards the dollhouse, its grip cold and unyielding. The light grew brighter, swallowing her whole until there was nothing but the blinding, suffocating light. When the light faded, the attic was silent once more. The dollhouse stood on its table, untouched and pristine. As though nothing had happened, the tiny rooms were once again perfectly arranged. The furniture in place, the dolls standing motionless in their positions. The next morning, the housekeeper climbed the stairs to the attic, her steps slow and weary. She pushed open the door and gasped at what she saw. There in the center of the dollhouse was a new dollhouse, a tiny figure with Eliza's face, her expression frozen in the internal scream of terror. The housekeeper backed away, her heart pounding. She had heard the stories of the cursed doll, but she had never believed them till now. With trembling hands, she closed the attic door, locked it tight, praying that whatever darkness lay within would stay trapped forever. But deep inside the dollhouse, the new doll stood among the others, her tiny hands pressed against the walls of her prison. And the silence of the attic, the faintest of whispers could still be heard, a soft, desperate plea would go unanswered for all time. That was a good story. What do you guys think? Anything that has to do with dolls, I'm up for it. I mean, I have an Annabelle doll. Oh. I have an Annabelle doll right there. So yeah, if anything that has to do with dolls, please send me up. I love anything that has to do with dolls. But yeah, when I saw that, what's the story called again? The Whispering Dollhouse. I go, oh yeah, that's up my alley. But anyway, that's gonna be it for today's video. So if you're new here, hi, I'm Princess Peyton. Hit the red button to become your majesty, and hit the bell notification so you're notified every time I upload a video. And I love you guys so much. You guys are the best human beings ever made, and you're the king of my heart. In the song lyrics of Taylor Swift. And I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video. Love you. Bye. Mwah.